one thing she pushes heavy on the kids is sex education, right? It's needed in the Philippines because you have babies having babies. She had a discussion with one of the boys in her class, right? And this is what the boy said. He didn't want to use condoms because it didn't feel good. Hey guys, you're now watching the Black Filipino TV. And through all my years in the Philippines, I wanted to make sure I was involved, okay? What I mean by involved is that I want to do research and see what's happening here. And you can tell from my videos, you see me out talking to the people, you know, and speaking with the people, relating to the people. You know, I've been out in the streets helping people, you know, I've done it all. But I want to talk about some real topics and continue to talk about real topics that happen in the Philippines. Now, it's one you all are aware of, okay? And I got this, actually came from my live stream. It was from teacher Abigail, right? So what happened is she's very adamant about kids learning sex education.
Talking about sex is very taboo in a Filipino culture.
Mm-hmm.
You would know sex when you had a husband. That's the traditional way for a sex education. But I think the
Mm-hmm.
government at least supporting sex education.
And also, she's very involved. You know those teachers when you were younger that you just wanted to see and tell everything? Uh, I've never had one myself, to be honest, but I'm talking about that person around you. Maybe it could be an uncle, it could be someone, that older person, you didn't mind knowing everything. She gives that feeling as a teacher.
But sadly, the older generation teachers don't want even to tackle that because it is deemed private and not to be talked about.
There needs to be more teachers involved like her because she takes a special interest in the children around her, and children, they feel so open to tell her the innermost secrets, and it's a good thing. But one thing she pushes heavy on the kids is sex education, right? Now, it's needed in the Philippines because you have babies having babies, and it happens a lot in the Philippines.
She dropped out because she's already pregnant.
Pregnant.
And who's
Yeah.
the father? Yeah, I always tell my students, my kids, think about it. And that's the butterfly effect of lack of
Mm-hmm.
sex education in the Philippines.
It happens a lot. It's like you even find young girls having babies at 14, and it's not with an older guy. It's with another 13 or 14-year-old. You know, it's happening here in the Philippines, and she talks against that. Now, she doesn't talk against it now for years, and it's because you guys know you guys talk about it all the time. You say it's because of the church, and it's true. It's because of what happened with the Catholic Church, where it was so, and it's been so taboo in the Philippines for so long. You know, sex. It's so taboo, but it's happening.
Teenagers tend to experiment outside because of
Yeah.
the lack of information from reliable adults.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about sex, it's a
Yeah.
very taboo thing that
Yeah.
it's only exclusively for the parents.
And young children are doing it. And you can tell from some of the things she hears from her students, right? And I think I got a video clip in here.
When students question the teacher, it's like, "Mom, why do we need to have pills with the iron supplements? I'm not active." And
Mm-hmm.
I said, I would say if you're not active, disregard it. And if you're not planning to be active sexually, do not do it. Find the right guy, marry him, and do it properly. That's what I always say.
Mm-hmm.
And but for those who are now sexually active, please be responsible.
Now, and kids know all about sex. Because what happened was she had a kid that she was speaking to, right? And then like sex was the object they were talking about. Sex was the subject they were talking about. And what happened was condoms came up, right? And of course, when I was younger, I was taught, my mom taught me, and I'm happy, thank you for that, Mom. My mom bought me condoms, and she said, look, you need to use condoms. And then from there, I knew to use condoms. Also, I learned it in school. And it was something I learned at an early age, of course, use condoms. And I grew up knowing use condoms because I didn't want to have babies, you know? And for the most part, well, actually, I didn't have babies. I didn't have a baby till I was 28 years old. because I had that in my head. Use condoms. Any girl I didn't trust, definitely use condoms. Because of course you make those mistakes. But anyway, back on topic. But that's how it should be in every guy's head. Now, she had a discussion with one of the boys in her class, right? And this is what the boy said. Now, the boy said he didn't want to use condoms because it didn't feel good. Yeah.
Because most of my students who experience and who are active would say that condoms impede feeling.
And that's how much kids are growing up faster. That's how much kids are into sex nowadays. The kid had a nerve to say it doesn't feel good. Now, how much sex are you having? Or, you know what's happening is that you're not having it with a condom, because when I first was doing it, my first time I did it without it, but then after I started getting, I didn't know who I was dealing with, so I made sure I used condoms, and of course it didn't feel the same, but I got so used to wearing them that it just felt good, condom or not, you know? But for little young boys to understand, oh wow, it just doesn't feel good, it's like, that's dangerous, you know, and that's why it's happening in the Philippines. And you know, she spoke with her kids about it and said, of course, like that doesn't mean, like it doesn't mean anything. Like, so what? It doesn't feel good. You shouldn't be having sex, you know, at a young age. But you're gonna do it. You're a young boy. Of course, boys are horny, girls are horny, you know. So kids do need to understand to wear condoms. And there's a lot of situations where, you know, well, how it used to be, not a lot of situations, how it used to be was it was so taboo, it wasn't even discussed. Now, it's a thing in the Philippines. Now, sex education, they're talking about it. So now, hopefully, you know, the numbers will change around. That young babies having babies will swing around, and they'll be at least a little bit more older. But babies are gonna have babies all around the world continuously, but at least it'll slow down. With more teachers now pushing sex education, which she said it's a standard now. So that's a good thing, guys. It's a standard. I'm happy about it because it doesn't need to be taboo. It's happening, you know, just like AIDS is happening. AIDS is happening in the Philippines. It's happening all over the world. And I remember when I was young, I talked about it before as well. And you guys, I talked about a lot of things in my live stream, guys. You need to make sure to visit my live show. When I was 17 years old, I remember they had a blood, they were giving away blood in the school, right? And I kept seeing kids getting pulled to the side. And I'm like, why are these kids getting pulled to the side? They couldn't give blood. What happened was half of the students that were going to give blood had HIV. It was nuts. And they had HIV, and I seen one died. This is before I left the US, right? Not right before, but it was like maybe 4 or 5 years before I left the US. And I knew her. Me and her used to smoke weed together back in the days. And I used to see her before school. I never approached her. Now, she wasn't the best looking, but she was okay. And she had a big old bubble booty. And I don't know what it was. I didn't go for her. She just wasn't it for me. Cause she wasn't all that. And she was a little bit, you know, had a ghetto attitude. I don't go for those kind of girls, so. And I'm happy I didn't, because she had a big old bubble booty, and then she died from AIDS complications before, you know, I came to the Philippines. And I know it stemmed from probably from high school. Because, you know, when you get it, you don't just die right away. And the thing is, and kids have to understand that it's here. And these younger girls, especially for the younger boys out there, it's easier for younger girls to go get the pick of the litter. So it could be younger girls out there that are fast, that are going around and getting guys that are out there doing all kinds of crazy things, and, you know, that'll give it to you. Also, what'll happen is, you know, you get somebody that's, man, I don't want to talk about it, but yeah, situations that'll happen. And even same thing with young girls, you know. You can have somebody, one of these guys out there dealing with somebody, and, you know, same thing. There's some guys that are faster. Some guys grow up faster than others. You know, that same bad boy that all the girls like, or that same girl that's the best looking girl in school that all the guys like, can mess around and give you something. So that's the same in the Philippines, also the States. But I'm happy to see that they're getting a grip on it now, because I didn't look into the statistics for the number of kids. I looked at it a couple of years ago. I didn't look at it again for the number of kids that are catching it. I'll probably look at it when I go downstairs. But yeah, they probably won't have it for younger kids, but still, I'm sure it's starting to creep up there. So kids, you can die, or you can catch something that'll take your penis off or burn your vagina out, and you can't have kids anymore. So yeah, it's serious. You need to make sure you're using condoms, you're protecting yourself, or better yet, don't have sex till you're married. A lot of you kids need to hear that. Don't have sex till you're married, and that's why it's not talked about in the Philippines. That's why it's been so taboo.
For Filipino parents, they feel embarrassed to talk to their kids about this. It's like it's
Yes.
taboo. But here in America, I have so many friends that they put condom in the, in the bedroom of their daughters to make sure, like, okay, we're not gonna
Yeah.
count how many in that
How many
box,
did you
but
use?
when you go on a date, use it. Be
Yeah.
responsible. Don't come home and you're gonna tell me you're pregnant,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
what they
Mm.
say is no matter what, they will do it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
they said just get one every time you go on a
Yeah.
date. Just get one, just to make sure. Be responsible.
So I'm saying, if you're younger and you're doing it, make sure you use protection, because too much child pregnancies, all that. Also, there could be child deaths happening, because I seen it myself when I was younger. Okay, and it takes a while. It happened more when she was like 30, and she probably got it when she was 17. But still, who wants to die 13 years? Who wants to die at 30 years old? That's still a young death, you know? Yeah, you probably can get some medicine and live for another 13 years, but do you want to die at 30 years old? You know? So yeah, guys, it's life and death out here. Even in the Philippines, it could happen. And you can meet your death, or you could have a baby that you can't take care of at an early age. And then your parents end up taking care of them. That's usually what happens in the Philippines. The parents end up taking care of the babies because the baby's the baby. The baby's the baby having a baby, you know? So yeah, just be wise out there, y'all. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to buy me a coffee, buymeacoffee.com/JTBF. See you next video.